But in keeping with that, so you say that you come up with the hook first, and I think that one of the things for me as a songwriter, again, going back to sort of like developing as a songwriter, because I also, as I began writing and making music, really priding myself on trying to be like the best rapper. And I started off with like punchlines, and then eventually that sort of progressed into more content and concepts and writing about multiple things and sort of depth and having music that sort of not as surface level. And so, but then as I sort of like added all of these different things where I got comfortable with maybe having a song where it's just maybe one punchline that's in there really. Maybe it's not the most lyrical throughout. Maybe it's just like a little portion here where, oh, ain't nobody, you never really, because again, for me, like, I think it's different levels to lyrical. Like, to me, Tupac is lyrical. But also to me, The Weeknd is lyrical. You know, when I think about, I don't know if you listen to what all music you listen to, but I listen to Hozier, like alternative music, and to me, Hozier is very lyrical. When I think about like R&B music and different R&B artists that I like, to me, Usher and Chris Brown are very lyrical.
When you can tell a story, that's, you know, you being lyrical.
Right.
In my opinion, it's kind of like what you're saying. Growing up on the Lil Wayne's, where every single line was damn near a, oh damn,
right.
You know what I mean? Like you said, if you could tell a story and you know you can relate to it, that's lyrical.
Yeah,
you know?
and I think, and for me, that it took like growing into that comfortability of not necessarily. To me, it reminded me also like a basketball where. When a player first come into the league, it's sort of like the raw athleticism is what might draw you to the player. But what really determines like the player's development and how good of a player they are is what do they do after that athleticism is not there as much, or what do they do to supplement that athleticism, or how do they pace themselves throughout the game where the only thing that they doing is not necessarily just dunking the ball or just driving straight down to the rim, which I think is what the punchline is sort of like in hip hop a lot. It's like the ooh moment or the wow moment, you know. And what really like makes you to have a real strong bond with the artist isn't really all of those moments, because some of those moments sort of fleet, you know, are fleeting, especially like with punchlines. You know, a punchline, depending on what you use for it, like in like 3 years, nobody might even understand like the context of that punchline, as opposed to like a line where, oh, people will always feel this. This is like a natural part of like human emotion. I think about like sort of the difference between like Tupac and Biggie, where like there's certain Biggie songs where like if you don't know the context of the punchlines that's within here, you gonna miss like how good of a line this is, as opposed to like Tupac, where like there wasn't a vast amount of punchlines, but like you're gonna always feel what he's talking about in this moment. And not to say that Biggie don't have that, Biggie has that as well, but what was sort of the difference between them is that punchline thing. And so I say that to say that for me as an artist, one of the things that I really begin to get comfortable with is having a verse where I have maybe like one line that's like that's not a punchline that's just momentarily, but like this is a punchline where like in 10 years you'll still understand what this means, but also having the totality of the song resonate with like the human experience and like emotional experiences. And so what do you feel like when you make music and when you make a song, like what is it that you sort of feel is at the core of the music that you make? You know, for me, I feel like the thing that's at the core is that like the human experience, the realm of emotions that people may go through. And that's something that I really grew into as I got older. When I was younger, a lot of times I'd be rapping about shit that I ain't never had this. I ain't never had this much money. I've never had this clothing line. I don't got this car right now. I'm not even old enough to be driving a car. And then as I got, you know, older and older and got more comfortable within my own skin and got more comfortable within my own experience, I began to really feel like what can make me as a writer special and what can make me as a musician special is talking about the average life of the average person, or the life that the majority of us go through, and not necessarily the life that like very few of us go through. And I think that manifests in different ways. Sometimes that manifests in talking about like the struggle of trying to be an artist and trying to make it as an artist. Sometimes that manifests in like the struggle of like relationships with friends, the struggle of relationships with a woman. But to me, at the core of the music that I make now is like the human experience and a range of emotions that people go through. What do you feel like is sort of like at the core of the music you make?
Pretty much what you said.
Okay.
I don't make any music. You can pull up any song I've ever done. You're not gonna hear one lie. You know,
Right.
I'm not gonna say like you said, I got a bunch of money and all this. It's really, and that's another reason I do the R&B passionately now, because every song I make is something I've been through, right? And that's if I don't go through something traumatic, I can't make a song.
Right.
If I'm just happy as hell all the time, as fucked up as it may sound, like that don't create the best music for me. I will have a random ass argument with my girl just so I can get in the studio and think of something. You know, maybe not necessarily what just happened right there, but draw me back into that mad or sad or disappointed phase in my life. Because like I said, when I'm just having a great time out here in the world, it's very hard for me to sit down and make music. I feel like that's probably my hardest difficulty right now, being an artist. I need to find a way to do that, right? I don't always want to have to be sad to make good music.
Right.
I don't always want to have to, be arguing with somebody. But at the same time, I don't really travel that much. I'm always in Rockford. I may go to Chicago here and there, but I feel like traveling, unless if you have a lot of shit to talk about,
right.
Like I said, me and you damn near probably been doing music the same amount of time. At some point, you run out of things to talk about.
Right.
At least I do. You need to get out there, explore the world, explore, just shit that you don't see on a day-to-day basis, which I don't do. I need to start doing. And I feel like once I start doing that, it's going to open up a whole new can of shit I could talk about, things I've experienced, and it may not always have to be about being emotional to make the music.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But to answer the question, all of my music has something to do with my life, things I may have seen. I plan for music in the future, for when people pass away. Thank God I've never experienced that. But I always think about it because, we get into that age where
right.
it's going to happen. And I'm trying to not embrace, but just prepare myself for how I'm going to release that emotion in music. You know what I mean? Because up until this point, it's always just been sad and mad shit. So I need to figure out how to make happy songs. So
and then.